Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. This is the second video today. My first video is out on MichelleAfterDark, and that's regarding clarification on Kylie Rodney's autopsy result, that her manner of death was accidental and her cause of death was drowning. In this video, really sad case, the autopsy results for 4-year-old Serenity McKinney have now been released. So we're going to go through the autopsy report. There's a big trigger warning to this because little Serenity was 4 years old and there are some injuries to her body that absolutely should not be there. A 4-year-old girl should not have an autopsy report where her manner of death was homicide. Now, if you're not familiar with this case, Serenity was last seen by members of her family in December of 2020. And then it was her extended family, not her mother, who reported her missing at the end of 2021. So they hadn't seen her for a whole year. In February of this year, officers found Serenity's body in a wooded area near the Jefferson-Bullitt County line in Kentucky. Serenity's mother, Catherine McKinney, she's known as Abby, and her boyfriend, Dakota Hill, were charged with Serenity's murder and abuse of a corpse in Bullitt County. The trial's not happened yet. There's some delays in the court process, but they face up to life in prison if they are convicted. So this is the autopsy report for little Serenity from the Kentucky Justice and Public Safety Cabinet Office of the Chief Medical Examiner. Final diagnosis for Serenity McKinney. The manner of death is homicide, but by undetermined means. She had a fracture of the right radius. The radius is a bone in the arm, right here. So the right radius, this one. She had a fracture of the right femur, which is the thigh bone. Per coroner report and police, 4-year-old female found partially skeletonized, wrapped in plastic within a suitcase. The suitcase was filled with sand-like substance. I don't know what that substance is. That's bizarre. The suitcase was filled with sand-like substance. Decedent, so Serenity, was last seen alive by her grandmother in December 2020. That's incorrect. She was reported missing at the end of 2021. Per investigators, minimal history surrounding circumstances of death provided by parents. No definite lethal trauma, because on their own, a fracture of the radius or a fracture of the femur wouldn't kill her. And there was marked decomposition and partial skeletonization, which could have masked or destroyed some evidence of other injuries on her body. She was identified through DNA analysis, and post-mortem skeletal muscle toxicology analysis was negative for tested drugs of abuse and alcohols. So toxicology report was negative. We don't have the toxicology report in this document, but it was negative. So this is the opinion of Patrick Greenwell, MD. Opinion: the cause of death in this 4-year-old girl, Serenity McKinney, is undetermined. However, the circumstances under which the body was found, along with the information provided by the coroner and investigating officers, indicate a homicide manner of death. However, marked decomposition of the body precludes identification of the cause of death. So that is Patrick Greenwell, MD's opinion, his professional opinion. So this is the first page. So to the coroner, Bullitt County, from Patrick Greenwell, MD. And then cause of death here, undetermined. But manner of death, the opinion of this medical examiner, is homicide. So big trigger warning. I'm going to read this. Trigger warning, guys. A post-mortem examination of the body submitted by the Bullitt County Coroner's Office as unknown skeletal remains and subsequently identified by DNA analysis as little Serenity is performed at the Bingham Building on Saturday, February 19th, 2022, 7:30 a.m. by Dr. Patrick Greenwell. The attendant is Jason Ritter. Also in attendance are Mike Cook and Bo Hensley of the Kentucky State Police and Mark Moore of the Shelby County Sheriff's Office. Exterior of the body. Revealed within the body bag is a green suitcase. The suitcase contains a marked amount of dark brown to grey sand-like substance. I don't get that. What is that? Also present within the suitcase is a grey plastic bag. The plastic bag is open to reveal a marked decomposed body in a fetal position lying on its left side. The body is clothed in a brown-appearing t-shirt, pink-appearing shorts, and a purple diaper. There are no personal effects received with the body. The body is that of a well-developed, well-nourished, white female child with a given age of 4 years. The body has a measurement height of 34 inches and a remnant weight of 22 pounds. Obviously, she is significantly decomposed, so her weight is going to be much lower than she was in life. But it notes that she's well nourished, so she's being fed. The body is cool to the touch. Rigor mortis is absent in the major muscle groups. Rigor mortis is gone from the body very quickly. You know, rigor mortis is where the body goes really stiff. That relaxes very quickly. The amount of decomposition and skeletonization indicates to me that she's been there quite a while. They don't tell us how long they think she might have been there in that suitcase, but you can imagine that it is a significant amount of time. Red purple livor mortis is not discernible secondary to decompositional changes. So livor mortis is the pooling of the blood when someone dies by gravity, because the blood isn't being pumped around the body by the heart. The blood pools at the kind of the bottom of the body, the bottom where the body is kind of laying on the floor. So if the body's laying on its right side, then the pooling, the livor mortis, is going to be evident down the right side. But once decomposition becomes so marked, it's impossible to discern livor mortis. The body demonstrates marked decompositional changes characterized by scalp slippage, skin slippage all over the body surface, whole skeletonization of the head, face, neck, bilateral torso, right upper extremity and back, and brown to green discoloration of all body surfaces. Insect deposition is present all over the face and torso. So although she was in a suitcase, insects did get to her. Now obviously we don't know how long she was in that suitcase. Was she in that suitcase just to transport her body, and her body had been elsewhere? We don't know. There is near complete skeletonization of the head and face. The remnant scalp hair appears blonde to light brown, wavy, and measured up to 8.5 inches in length. The globes are not discernible secondary to decomposition, so the eyes. The nasal cartilage is absent. There is separation of the nasal bones without identified injury, but there could have been injuries, but just the amount of decomposition precludes them from understanding those injuries if they were there in the first place. This is suggestive of a post-mortem change. And then the lips, the inner mouth, absent due to decomposition. Upper jaw demonstrates absence of multiple teeth. The natural anterior dentition of the lower jaw, though, is in good condition. There is near complete skeletonization of the neck. There is partial skeletonization of the chest, greater on the left side. The chest is of increased mobility. The abdomen is flat and demonstrates no remote surgical scars. There is partial absence of the soft tissue of the abdomen with exposure of the abdominal cavity. The external genitalia are prepubescent female and appear atraumatic. The upper and lower extremities are without edema, so fluid swelling. There is near complete skeletonization of the right upper extremity. There is absence of the right fourth and fifth fingers. There's partial skeletonization of the left back. The back is well developed. The anus is atraumatic. So the absence of two of her fingers, were the bones recovered or not? Or did she lose those fingers in life? We don't know. So the evidence of injury. So there's a fracture of the right radius, as we've already said. There's a fracture of the right femur, the thigh bone, with extrusion of the femur through the soft skin and remnant skin of the right thigh. And there's apparent soft tissue hemorrhage associated with this fracture. So that would have been very, very, very painful. The bone would have been seen through the skin. That's a really, really bad fracture. So you can only imagine how she received that injury. So the interior of the body. So cardiovascular, the heart weighs 20 grams and is of normal configuration. The cardiac silhouette displays marked decompositional changes, and there's gases there due to decomposition within the vascular system. The heart's normal apart from the decompositional changes. No evidence of vascular trauma. Respiratory system, so this is the lungs. The right lung weighs 20 grams and the left lung weighs 40 grams. Now obviously these weights are different, they're much lower than they would have been in life because of decompositional changes. The lungs are of usual lobation and display bilateral decompositional change with emphysema, but that's due to the decompositional process. The bronchial tree is of normal distribution and dimension. Its epithelial surface is green to black. Sectioning of the lungs reveals severe softening and decompositional changes. Liver weighs 80 grams. That's normal apart from the decompositional changes. And the gallbladder also normal. Now, because there was significant decomposition within the body and the abdominal cavity was open, essentially, due to decomposition, the pancreas is not identified, and the adrenal glands, which sit near the kidneys, they're largely unidentified as well. Kidneys not identified, so these have all gone due to decomposition. There is the bladder still intact, but some degeneration, and then her reproductive system not identified. Spleen has gone, not identified. So the digestive system, the esophagus, that's the tube from your mouth down to your stomach that takes food down, is lined with green mucosa, normal otherwise. Gastric wall is intact, so the stomach contains no contents, no pills or capsules are identified within the gastric system. The small and large intestines are unremarkable, which means that they're going to be relatively normal, apart from, obviously, some decomposition. Examination and palpation of the sternum, the ribs, the shoulder girdle, the spine and pelvis fail to reveal any fractures. The neck, the soft tissues of the neck and the thyroid, not identified, too decomposed. And then a head. The scalp is generally absent. The calvarium is intact. The dura, the membranes of the brain, diminished tenseness. However, the brain is still there, which is interesting given that there's been insect activity. The brain is soft, grey to green in coloration. Intracranial hemorrhage is absent, so there doesn't appear to have been a bleed on the brain. So, if she was beaten on the head that resulted in her death, there would have been hemorrhage, bleeding in her brain. The brain weighs 620 grams. Examination of the base of the skull after removal of the dura fails to reveal fractures. Disposition of evidence. The following items are maintained: photographic documentation, diagrams, stock tissues, they always save some tissues, DNA card, and digital radiographs, so the scans. And then the following items are collected by the Kentucky State Police: photographic documentation, DNA, the suitcase, and all clothing. Skeletal muscle is submitted in a sealed kit to NMS laboratories for toxicology analysis. We don't have that toxicology report, but it did say that the toxicology was negative. So it's really horrible. It's heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking that Serenity clearly had injuries that were severe. Fracture in her arm, a fracture in her leg. That thigh fracture is a dreadful one. But her cause of death can't be determined because of the amount of decomposition in her body. So how long she'd been deceased and how long she'd been in that suitcase, we just don't know. We don't know. Horrible. But Abby McKinney and Dakota Hill face life imprisonment for the murder of Serenity McKinney. And let's hope that they do exactly that. Life in prison. No parole. Okay, guys, it's a heavy one, this. It's horrible. But let me know your comments and thoughts below. I've been Michelle. Hope you're well. See you in the next video. Goodbye from Miss Tillington and Miss Cassie Springer. Bye, guys.